Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the newly released IRA credit data, so that conversation is coming up. So as you may have noticed recently, the IRS released their guidance on the new EV credit for the $7,500 credit, basically based on Biden's IRA Act, and that's good as of January 1st. There's a couple different requirements. There's an income cap, and now there is also a MSRP cap. So for the income cap, if you're a married couple that files jointly, it's $300,000. If you're head of household, it's $225,000, and if you're a single filer, it's $150,000. And for the income cap, if you're looking at an SUV, it's got to be $80,000 or under, and if it's a sedan, it's got to be $55,000 or under. So one of the other requirements is that the car needs to be the final assembly needs to be in North America, which for Teslas is totally fine because they're all built in Fremont or now starting to be built in Texas as well. And there's also a battery requirement. So the battery requirement piece, the guidance by the Treasury Department is delayed. They said they're going to release that in March, but that's going to account for half of this $7,500 credit, or $3,750. So if you're in the market for, say, a rear-wheel drive Model 3, that car does qualify under the sedan MSRP cap. So I would jump on it now because you should be able to get the full $7,500 credit on it. And if we back up just a little bit to August when the IRA Act was signed, at that point, all signs were pointing to the battery part being basically that every EV was not going to qualify for the battery requirement because most of these materials that are, mined for the battery and things are made in China. And basically, Biden and the IRA Act, it's really Manchin, Senator Manchin. He was the one who was like, it's got to be done here in North America, or basically he wouldn't sign the agreement. So if you want to get your car that qualifies, get it now. So if we talk about the Model 3 really quick, as I just mentioned, the rear-wheel drive, or the Model 3 is what it's called, does qualify. But the long-range all-wheel drive is like 58, 57, so that's right around that MSRP cap, but just over. So if Tesla were smart, they would drop the price just a little bit. That way all the long-range all-wheel drives can qualify as well, and that would 100% spike demand, and I'm sure a lot of people will be ordering long-range all-wheel drives because they can get another $7,500 off the price. But the main reason I want to make this video is because of the IRA credits and the Model Y and SUVs in general. So if you've looked at the requirements for SUVs, it literally makes no sense. And this is not just for Tesla, this is for SUVs from all other companies also. So what I mean by this is the same car with different variants, some of them qualify as an SUV and some of them don't. So if we use the Model Y as an example, the 7-seater does qualify as an SUV under the $80,000 MSRP cap, but the 5-seater Model Y does not, and it's under the sedan guidance, which is basically the $55,000 MSRP cap. And there's the same issue with the Mach-E and the ID4, so we know it's not a unionized labor thing. The Treasury Department is just weird, and they picked an arbitrary set of metrics to figure out what qualifies and what doesn't. So how is this possible that the Model Y 7-seater qualifies as an SUV, but the 5-seater is still qualified as a sedan? Well, one of the requirements for an SUV is if it has 3 rows. So because the 7-seater Model Y has 3 rows, it's automatically qualified as an SUV. But since the 5-seater doesn't have 3 rows, there's a different set of metrics that the Treasury Department use to see if it'll qualify as an SUV. And unfortunately, the Treasury Department uses ground clearance as one of the metrics to see if it'll qualify as an SUV because they want SUVs to have a certain off-road capability. And because Teslas are known to be more sporty, they tend to have a lower ground clearance, and that basically throws them out of the SUV category. And from what I've been reading, it's only an inch and a half shy of the ground clearance requirement to be qualified as an SUV. And contrary to popular belief, even Elon thought that they were missing the requirement because of the gross vehicle weight rating of 6,000 pounds. So that 6,000 GVWR rating came from, it's basically the light duty truck rating that the IRS uses as a metric, but that's not related to this IRA credit. And all the confusion came because the Model Y was like 250 pounds short of the 6,000 pound rating. But again, this is an IRS metric that isn't related to the IRA credit. It's actually stated right in the guidance that it needs to be under 14,000 GVWR. So basically any EV is going to qualify under that guidance, even the Hummer, which is like 9,000 pounds stock. But then when you load all the other weight in there, it's still going to be under 14,000. So was it possible for Tesla to fix the 5-seater Model Y to get it to qualify as an SUV? Of course, there are a couple of ways. So the first way they could do this is drop the price. So the long-range Model Y right now is about $66,000, and they'd have to drop the price about $10,000 to make it meet the $55,000 sedan MSRP. But the Model Y is their best-selling product. So in my opinion, I don't think they want to do this because there's also still inflation issues right now. And if they still have demand, then there'd be no reason to drop the price that much. Second way is they could give the Model Y air suspension. So honestly, an SUV or a crossover in this price range really should have air suspension to begin with. And if they do that, then they could basically raise the car and it would meet the ground clearance qualification for the SUV category. One last behind the scenes way is they could ask the Treasury Department for an exception. GM is already doing this with the Cadillac Lyriq, which also doesn't qualify as an SUV. So Elon could talk to the Treasury Department and see if they can get the 5-seater Model Y to fly as an SUV, but time will tell. So this is why some variants of the Model Y qualify as an SUV and some don't. Are you in the market for a Model 3 or Model Y? How does this new information impact your decision? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.